traders, this is Blake Morrow. You are listening to the Morning Edge webinar. I want to welcome you all back. So we obviously we're still going to do some analysis. We're going to do our analysis as we normally do every day, regardless if our focus won't be on the dollar. I think it's important that we see where the key levels are, because that can help us pivot from, if you're trading, like let's say the euro is attacking some support here, and we know it's getting close to bouncing. It might assist you in trading some of the cross rates, like buying the euro pound or something like that. So we'll pay attention to everything. So we'll start off with the euro dollar. So the euro dollar is closing in on some support, I'm sure. So let's go over to the daily. Now I'm going to delete some of these fibs really quick. We're going to redraw them. So just, here's the euro dollar. So the euro dollar has been coming under a little bit of pressure today, which, again, I find it a little surprising. The dollar is, the dollar is stronger at the moment. The dollar's obviously had a great run. We talked about the euro possibly getting back towards 110, 110.50. We were on Friday. We were closing in on 110. We've shown a bit of a reversal right now. And let's take a look at where that resistance might be. So if we take where the fall started, which you could go all the way up here, but I like the fact that we take this last main high where we're doing higher highs and higher lows, which comes in, just at the end of September, all the way to the low here. Okay. The 38% retracement is 110.15. So let's write that down for resistance today, 110.15. Okay, it's a 38% retracement of this move down. Okay, so that'll be 110.15 will be resistance. Now, support. Okay, we're already coming down to like previous breakout points. We're basically there right now. So this is support for the euro, like pretty much where we're at. But let's just figure out from a fib retracement wise, like if you take this low on an hourly basis to the high here, there's a 38% retracement. We're just below it right now. The 50% retracement comes in at 109.37. I think Paulie also said 109.38. That is logical. If you take the trend low to the high here, the 38% retracement is also 109.37 or 38. So that confluence comes in at 109.37. If you want to buy the euro, I think that's your support there. Okay, 109.37. It's still a bearish bias, but I think you can get away with playing counter trend probably today, maybe even tomorrow as well. All right, meaning that you could probably play back to the long side here. I think ultimately I'd rather be on the short side of the euro dollar. It's just trying to find that spot. I'd rather not be short here in the euro. I'd rather be short somewhere up here, maybe around 110.50, maybe even 111 sometime later on this week. The flip side is that you also have gold's weak, silver's weak, So anyway, yeah, support of the euro dollar. I think, trading at something like this, like that's probably how I'd rather play the euro dollar. And if you're not comfortable being long the euro, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with just sitting on the sidelines waiting for the euro dollar to pop in into new highs and trying to trade it up here on the short side. That also makes sense. I understand if you're uncomfortable shorting the dollar. I know I am. Okay. So anyway, shorting it up here maybe makes some sense. If you want to play counter trend, you might let it come down another 10 pips or so and then play long. Okay. Think you can manage your risk pretty well down here. Let's go take a look at the cable. So the pound, we were just trading at new lows. The pound obviously is very weak. The pound, I'm having a very difficult time, reconciling with myself, trying to play this thing on the long side. I do have some pound Canadian and pound, or no, I'm sorry, pound Aussie and pound New Zealand longs, and I'm just sitting in them. You know, um, they're basically break even. I've been sitting in them for the last couple of days, but trying to play the pound dollar to the long side, it's hard. It's hard to do, which I get, and I understand, the problems here. So, as far as the cable goes, big support is obviously at 121. Resistance right now, I think we can, take this near term downtrend line, and this downtrend line comes in at 122. At this point, 122.40. Okay, so you know, trading it long down here, maybe an idea, or maybe if you want to, try to get some sort of rally out of it and short it into some strength may make sense. You know, trading it currently, it's like, what do you do with it? I hate it when I'm looking at prices going, I just don't know what to do, don't know what to do with it. If I don't know what to do with it, I probably just leave it alone. So 121, 122.40. We were in a bearish trend. Okay, let's take a look at the Swissy. Now the Swissy, it came under attack on Friday. Um, Following the news about, the FBI probing into Hillary Clinton's emails. And here's the thing about Clinton. I mean, if you think about, that whole situation, it's likely not to rock the boat. Sorry, this stretching. It's probably not going to rock the boat with any current um, um, voters. For people the people are either voting for Hillary because they don't like Trump, or people are voting for Trump because they just don't like Hillary. I mean, I don't think anything is going to really rock that that vote right now. The independent vote is, what everybody's worried about. But I don't know if that news is going to have a huge impact. I mean, that's why the dollar has recovered from Friday. It is trying to recover. I think most people probably understand that it's not going to have too big of an impact. So we're seeing the dollar recover right now. Um, Now, as we wrote this down on Friday, dipping to 98.40, probably be a place where look to establish U.S. dollar longs. I'd rather be a buyer down here at this blue trend line personally, and that's what I'm going to try to wait for. But 98.40 is support for right now. For right now. Now resistance. I'm assuming this previous support is going to be a resistance today. Somewhere right through here. Whether it's right there or maybe even a little bit higher, but we're going to write down 99 cents as being resistance. And again, I'm not a fan of buying Swiss francs, so you're not going to catch me shorting the dollar Swiss. But for those of you that you're an equal opportunist employer and trader, you might. Um, you might be thinking short here. That's fine. I personally am just going to wait for a dip to be long. Okay. Let's take a look at the dollar yen. So the dollar yen, I picked it up on Friday. I bought it at. I'm thinking about selling it actually here shortly. Um, See, bonds are still under pressure. That's the whole thing. I picked up the dollar yen last on Friday at 104.74, 104.73. Excuse me. I bought it on Friday. We obviously fell, following that news about the FBI probe. Um, Gap down to 104.40, and we've been rallying ever since. Now we are probably right up against resistance right now. I'm thinking about dishing out my dollar yen at this point. See, we're at the 618. I'm out of my dollar yen. I just sold it. I'm staying with my euro yen. I just sold my dollar yen. Look, I don't mind as far as the dollar goes, I'm trying to take profits, kind of quickly right now because I'm not really confident in what the dollar is doing at the moment. And so we're basically at the 618 of this fall. So this should be good resistance. So I'm going to write down 105.10. Then I'm going to go beyond that. So 105.10, and then 105.50. Okay, we're in a range. When or if the dollar yen can get above this 105.50, which, as you guys know, is the 127% extension right here of this move. It's also the 24% retracement of the high to low, 24% retracement. It's 105, 40. So if or when we could take out 105.50, I'm going to be very, very bullish the dollar yen. And it's not so much being bullish the dollar; it's being more bearish the yen. I mean, I'm a seller of yen. Um, but anyway, support. Well, what we probably have to do is write down the overnight low, which is 104.40. See this breakout point here? The high here was 104.30, if I remember correctly. Let me double check that. One oh four thirty. Okay. The low overnight was 104.40. So 104.30 is major support. While we trade above that 104.30, there's really no reason to be on the short side. Okay. Let's take a look at the Canadian. So here's your Canadian, and The thing about the Canadian's holding up really well. And if you wonder, oh, why is the Canadian holding up really well? It's because crude. I mean, crude looks like crap. Crude's trading before below 49 bucks. Crude looks like it's going to roll over. Crude looks like it is a failed breakout attempt. Um, you know, failed breakout attempt while it was above 50 bucks. And, that in itself is going to help keep this dollar Canadian very well elevated. Now, let's get rid of this for now. I mean, really, support is right here at 130, 133.70. I mean, we're really on it. I mean, if you want to buy the dollar Canadian, you can do it. You can buy the dollar Canadian, put your stops below this blue trend line, and look for a move back up to highs. I mean, you could. I don't necessarily. I don't necessarily think that's what I would do, but you could. So I mean, I'll write down 133.70 as being near-term support. Resistance is at 130, 134.30. What is the high here? 32. So I'm just going to write 134.30. We're in a range, but we're threatening to turn higher. And like I said, I think you got to keep an eye on crude because if crude continues to weaken, um, it's going to force the hand of this dollar Canadian to go higher. Okay, let's take a look at the Kiwi. So here's the Kiwi stuck in the middle with you. We're stuck between there and there. And I think it would be best to let us break below there, or break above there. All right, so it's 70 to 70, 71 cents to 71.80. All right, and it is still bearish. It just so we're all clear, it's bearish while we're still in this head and shoulder pattern until we complete it, which will take us down towards just below 70 cents, which will be the trend line support of the channel, somewhere down here. Okay. All right. So your bias chart, we're still working on it. When I get back, I'm going to go grab some coffee. When I get back, we're going to do the Aussie, dollar index, peso, Swedish krona, Norwegian krona, and then we'll get then I'll be answering some questions. We'll look at some of these cross rates. So happy Monday to you guys. Thanks for being here, and I'll be back in a few minutes. All right, traders, this is Blake Morrow. You are listening to the Morning Edge webinar. I'm going to welcome you back. You know what I just realized? You guys had a time change this week, didn't you? Weekend. You guys in Europe. You guys had a time change this weekend, correct? Ah, every time Europe has a time change, what happens is in about a half an hour's time, I'm going to have a bunch of Europeans pop on the webinar and say, dude, I forgot the time change. You started at a different time. It happens every time. Every time. Yeah, so, yeah, you guys had to, Yeah, Christiane said, "I forgot I missed Polly's webinar." I know that most people that's not I say most. It's interesting. All my all my Europeans, there's going to be a lot of them that come in late and go, "Dude, I totally forgot." You know, with the time change and um, I didn't get up early enough. There's going to be a lot of people that are coming in late today. I totally spaced that until just now. You know what I'm really happy about is in 2 weeks from this weekend, 2 weeks from this weekend, I will be able to start getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning or three, and change, which is very nice, very exciting. Uh, Aaron says you change next week. No, I don't think so. It's not next week, is it? Hold on. U.S. time change. If it is, you guys, is it next week? Um, November 6th. Oh, it is next week. Damn, it's next week. Dude, that's exciting. That is so exciting for me. My day just got even better. That it is next week. It's November 6th. Sweet. One more week of this crap. I'm so excited. I don't know. If you live in a city like I do, that we don't adjust our clocks, it's always hard to keep track of that. It really is. It's like I grew up in, growing up in Phoenix, Arizona. It's like the whole time change thing just never made any sense to me. Still doesn't. Here I am, 40 some odd years later. It still doesn't make any sense to me. But anyway, uh, Amanda says, you're getting old when an hour's extra sleep is the highlight. That's so true. So true. Okay. All right. We got to continue on with our analysis. So, for those of you that are just joining me and you forgot about the time change this weekend, or you forgot, like you had to get up a little earlier to get here, glad you all made it. All right. Let's go into, where am I at? Oh, we got to go in the Aussie. So let's go over to the Aussie dollar. The Aussie. Saved by the Bell, I want to say I'm going to delete this stuff, but I'm going to bring it all back. Saved by the Bell on Friday really was. The Aussie really was saved by this Clinton email, announcement from the FBI, because that allowed for the Aussie dollar to really bounce on Friday. Okay, we really bounced back. Now, the question is with the Aussie is we're still in the apex of we're still in the apex of this triangle. It's obviously getting very tight. This is one of those. This is one of those pairs that we got to watch very carefully. I mean, Chinese data is tonight. We have services and manufacturing PMIs coming out tonight. We have also the private sector services data, I believe. We also have the RBA tonight. All right, so a lot of possible movements setting up here. Okay, um, so what I do know is this low right here, which is 75.55, I think is what the low was, 75.57. That is major support. And I'm just 75.50, that is just major support. The bottom line is if we break 75.50, the Aussie dollar is going to get punished. And if there is something that will suck me into the market, dollar related, is as if the Aussie dollar breaks below 75.50. Because if it breaks below 75.50, I'm getting short. Because as I've mentioned to you guys a lot over the course of the last few weeks, everybody's looking at this as an inverted head and shoulder pattern. I don't think there's I don't think there's one one person out there that isn't looking at it as such, and most people think it's very bullish, and that's been the stance for the last few weeks. If we break through that support, I think that's going to be a very bearish event. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to break that support. I think that we have, obviously, with the Chinese data and the RBA tonight, that may not break. But we are at a 38% retracement. A 50% retracement takes us up to 76.33. 76.50 is the 618. If you're looking for to play the Aussie dollar on the short side, I think doing it there makes a lot of sense. At 76.50, okay. We're in a range. Let's take a look at the dollar index. Here's your dollar index, 98.20, 99.10, same numbers, nothing's different. 98.20, 99.10, still bullish. Okay. Nothing's changed. Let's take a look at the peso. So the peso, has spiked up after that news, that FBI news on Friday. We spiked up. We've come down, and this is one of those, the U.S. dollar Mexican peso, which you got to keep a real close eye on, because this is the Donald Trump protection trade. In case Donald Trump wins the election, the U.S. dollar Mexican peso is going to scream up to, in my opinion, it's going to scream up to 21. And it's not going to really let anybody in. Okay. The question is, how far are we going to come down here? So let's figure that out. Take this low to high. 618 retracement comes in at 1884. $18.84 should be support. Resistance right now, resistance is 1893 currently. And we are range bound. Now the U.S. dollar Norwegian krona is sitting between this 830 and remember 820 is support. Okay. If we get a dip down to 820, remember we were trading above this broken trend line here, so and plus with crude oil, ooh, crude looks weak. Look at crude oil rolling over. With crude as weak as it is, it's really tough to press the U.S. dollar Norwegian krona much lower. $820, $830, and I think those are your parameters right now. And it's range bound. All right, let's take a look at the U.S. dollar Swedish krona. The U.S. dollar Swedish krona is still holding up very well. Now, we spiked up to 905. Actually, we spiked beyond that on Thursday Thursday night, Friday morning. Um, the 905 level was a big 618 on a monthly basis. So just so you have an understanding of why we stopped here. Okay. So 909 is resistance right now. Support is at 895. Buying this thing on dips makes most sense. Like right to there. 895, 909. I'd be a buyer at 895 if I could get it. Okay, and this is bullish. All right, guys, your bias chart's finished. So there you go. If you're just tuning in now and you forgot, oh man, I woke up late, or I didn't take into account the time change. Well, that happens every year. Glad you can make it. Let me grab my coffee.